The demon is a liar. He will confuse us, but he will also mix lies with the truth to attack us. What an excellent day for an exorcism. The demon in question is Pazuzu. These are lines from the 1973 movie The Exorcist. The first part was spoken by Father Marin, and the last line was spoken by Pazuzu through the possessed child Regan McNeil. In Mesopotamian mythology, Pazuzu is a demon, the god of the southern winds and responsible for plagues, droughts, and famines. In today's story, Pazuzu is just a guy named John Lawson who changed his name to Pazuzu and was tied to three murdered men. This is the story. Hello, I am Sean. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. If you're returning, then it's great to see you again. Twice a week, I do true crime that I find interesting to tell you about. I want to make sure that the victims are remembered, and there are a lot of victims to remember out there. If you're not subscribed, please do so. It's free. I appreciate each and every one of you, and if you want to appreciate me back and kindly support me, you can always buy me a coffee. I have a symbol here, or the links down in the description. If you have any ideas for future crimes, please feel free to leave me a message or email me at my email that's in my bio. So, that all being said, let's go on with today's true crime. Born John Lawson on April 12, 1978 in San Francisco and lived with his mom, Cynthia James. Eventually they moved to 2749 Nob Hill Drive in Clemmons, North Carolina. Not much is known about his early life or when he and his mom moved to North Carolina. It was hard to grasp onto what his life was like because he used to reinvent his stories about his childhood. A couple things that he told people were that he was from Iraq. He also told people that his father was a high priest. People that knew him as a child said that they always saw him a little off kilter and very emotional. He also started to harm animals as a small child. He drank alcohol and he started doing drugs at a young age. His mother stated that he had mental health issues. At an early age, he was diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses, including but not limited to agoraphobia and schizophrenia. His mother eventually ran out of money and was not able to pay for proper treatment for him, and his mental health crashed quickly. He changed his name to Pazuzu Algarad in 2002 to pay homage to the demon who is referred to in the Exorcist movies. He started to ostracize himself from society. He covered his face with tattoos, filed his teeth into points, and he kept telling people that he performed animal sacrifices. He even told people that he could change the weather. He stopped bathing and brushing his teeth. At one point, he claimed to have only bathed once a year and that he hadn't brushed his teeth in years. He claimed that the filth was the body's defense to ward off infection and illness. The town of Clemmons was pretty appalled by his behaviors, as it was pretty much a Christian town. But no matter how grotesque or, I would think, stinky, if he's not bathing, that had to have been a smell. No matter how bad he got, he had the ability to draw others toward him, especially ones that were already socially excluded. He encouraged them to engage in his debauchery. It was a form of charisma that had not appealed to everyone, but certain minds were drawn into it. And for some odd reason, he had a way of attracting women. Two of them were Amber Birsch and Crystal Matlock. They became known as his fiancées and were living at his home often. People would stay at his house, and he had no care for how long. He didn't even care what they did to his home. Want to do drugs? Do it. Want to self-harm? Do it. Want to go to the bathroom? Do it. Anywhere. In the corners. You want to sacrifice some animals? Go ahead. Have an orgy? Great. Drink some blood? Whatever you want to do, you can do it here. It was insanity. And the house was quickly being destroyed because of it. Trash was everywhere. There were animal carcasses, feces, urine all over the place. Blood smeared all over the walls. It was a house of decay. Satanic messages and pentagrams were painted all over the property. The neighborhood was in fear. I think is quoted that one of the neighbors said, a lot of people badmouth their neighbors, but you haven't lived next to him. So until you do, you don't know what a bad neighbor is. On May 28th, 2010, he was accused of putting his mother into a chokehold. Court records stated that he performed satanic rituals in the house, but she loved her son so much, she turned a blind eye to everything he did, and she actually still lived in the house with him, and she encouraged him and his behaviors. Now, I couldn't find if he got in any trouble for what he did to his mom, but it continued getting worse. In October of 2010, he was charged with accessory after the fact for involuntary manslaughter. The body of Joseph Chandler was discovered in Yadkin County, and he was accused of concealing this from the investigators. Also, he let the murderer live with him at his home, so that's the reason he got in a little trouble there. I believe he got some probation, and that was that. In August of 2011, he was placed on probation for 12 months after pleading guilty to assaulting a female. But, nothing more severe than this stuff. People started making reports to police about his behavior, but authorities really didn't do anything. Even when one of the girls told police that he killed some guy, and she did this because she was in a dispute with one of the other girls, nothing happened. They just assumed that she was trying to get him in trouble because she was pissed off at one of the other girls. But this made Pazuzu feel powerful. He felt like his satanic rituals were actually paying off and working for him. But finally, it did not work anymore as police started to listen. On October 5th, 2014, the police executed a search warrant. They searched the property and found the skeletal remains of two people buried in shallow graves in the backyard. It was later revealed that they were killed in 2009. Pazuzu at the time was 35 and Amber Birsch was 24. They were both charged with one count of murder and one count of accessory after the fact of murder. On October 6th, Crystal Matlock was 28, she was arrested for the death of one of those bodies. She was accused of helping bury the body. They all ended up asking for court-appointed attorneys. On October 7th, the Housing Commission uh, for the county declared that the house that Pazuzu and his mom lived in was unfit for human habitation. They said that it was filled with trash, mold, and feces, and that was just a tip of the iceberg. They went on to advise that the house contained hundreds of dead and living flies. They stated that the feces and urine had been ground into the floors and walls, which caused decay. And there was a number of decaying and decayed animal parts all over the house. Ew. And they were living in this. I mean, his mother was living in this house. Just it's just crazy. On October 13th, the bodies were identified as Joshua Wetzel and Tommy Welsh. Joshua was killed in July of 2009 by Pazuzu, and Amber helped him bury the body. Tommy was killed in October of 2009 by Amber, and Pazuzu helped her bury the body. They found out that both men were shot in the head with a .22 caliber. Apparently, it was some form of satanic ritual or something. I don't know. In April of 2015, the house was demolished after the bank foreclosed on it, and Cindy did nothing to make the house habitable, so the county said tear it down. On May 13th, 2015, Pazuzu was transferred to the Central Prison for safekeeping. There's 3 reasons that they transfer somebody to a different prison for safekeeping, and those 3 reasons are mental health disorder, security, or medical conditions. They might have had some good reason to transfer him because on October 28th, 2015, he was found dead in his cell at 4:20 a.m. He died from severe blood loss caused by a deep wound in his left arm. It was like right in the crack of the elbow. They said that he unalived himself. They said that he used something to cut himself, but they never made it clear of what he used. One idea, but they could not find any evidence to back it, was that he used his pointed teeth to chew a hole into his own arm. That's just crazy. Yeah. So it's okay to do the crime, but he didn't want to pay the time, I guess. So on March 9th, 2017, Amber pled guilty to second-degree murder on the death of Tommy, armed robbery, and accessory after the fact to murder. She was 27 at the time and sentenced to serve a minimum of 30 years and 8 months in prison to a maximum of 39 years, 2 months. I don't understand the 2 months and 8 months, unless that's for the time served. I don't know. On June 5th, 2017, Crystal pled guilty to conspiracy to accessory after the fact to first-degree murder in the death of both Tommy and Joshua. She was 30 at the time, and she was sentenced to a minimum of 3 years and 2 months in prison to a maximum of 4 years, 10 months in prison. She was released May of 2018. But she must have really liked being in prison because January of 2020, she was convicted of multiple drug crimes and breaking and entering, and she served another 8 months in prison. You know, I don't know what I can say about this case. I mean, it's just crazy. I'm sorry to Tommy and Joshua and all the other people. I mean, there was a lot of other former friends of Pazuzu that had issues. And I I don't know everything. I mean, I read 3 different articles, and this is pretty much what I got from them. But I've heard other podcasters talk about other things. I don't know where they got it from, but there is a series online or on TV that you can watch. I think it's a 5-part series, but I'm not positive. Um, it's just crazy. It's utterly crazy. You know, I've known some Satanists in my lifetime, and I think they'd be offended by this because, from what these people said, human sacrifice is not something that they'd be into because that's not the way the Satanic Church operates. And I could be wrong. I don't know. But so if you're a Satanist, please leave a message down below and tell me if this is something that the churches are into or not. Um, in the end, I don't know. I mean, like with most of the cases, mental illness in this case is just oozing from everywhere. Whether it is Pazuzu's mental illness or before that, John's mental illness or the girl's mental illnesses. I mean, it's just coming from everywhere. His mom obviously had some issues living in that pit of decay and disgust, and she had to have known something was going on. You don't shoot 2 people in the head in your basement and not have everyone in the house at least hear it. Uh, and I just can't believe people were going forever without taking showers. I feel disgusting if I go 2 days without a shower. Um, yeah, my OCD was just going off the charts with this. Looking at those pictures of the house and everything is just like, I think I would have been in a full hazmat suit, ventilation system, everything if I had to go into that house. So, anyhow, thank you for watching. Put your thoughts in the comments and let's continue this conversation there. If you're not subscribed, please do so. It is free and it helps me out. It shows me that I'm doing something right. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye.